The modern corporation has deep pockets, thousands of employees, and global reach. Yet, despite these massive resources, executing a single new idea inside one of these giants can consume years of committee meetings. This sluggish pace is often the direct result of business school theories that prioritize rigid frameworks, extensive feasibility studies, and multiple layers of approval before a single dollar is spent. But the companies actually taking over entire industries look very different. They are routinely small, scrappy, and severely underfunded. These founders do not have a secret formula. Instead, they rely on counter-conventional habits to bypass the accepted rules of commerce. They ignore the standard academic playbook. For them, breaking the rules is a calculated method to eliminate the friction that paralyzes their larger competitors. Take the traditional focus on product development. Standard strategy says you take an existing item on the market, tweak the features, perhaps changing the color of the blue detergent speckles, and call it innovation. Jonathan Thorne ignored the product and looked for a precise problem instead. He discovered that standard surgical forceps would occasionally stick to human brain tissue during neurosurgery. He developed a new silver-nickel alloy specifically to stop that from happening. This illustrates a secondary habit, shrinking the target. Large companies want broad, massive audiences. Elite founders actively target tiny, narrow ones. When Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight started building shoes, they ignored sprinters, tennis players, and the general public. They built a shoe with lateral stability and extra cushioning exclusively for elite distance runners dealing with shin splints. By solving a painful, precise issue for a small group, they captured that entire market. Those dedicated runners became the foundation for Nike. This focused logic generates a level of market pull that a broad, product-first strategy struggles to match. The traditional corporate machine also dictates how you fund those ideas. You stick to your core competencies, submit a detailed budget, and wait for authorized capital. Fast-moving entrepreneurs bypass this by securing cash directly from consumers, often before the product is even engineered. Before a single Tesla Model 3 rolled off an assembly line, 500,000 people put down a $1,000 deposit. That is $500 million in cash to engineer the car, gathered without a single bank loan. But the most aggressive habit goes beyond skipping the bank. It means executing your idea without asking gatekeepers for authorization. If a startup had asked San Francisco regulators for permission to operate a massive cab service without owning a fleet, the answer would have been an immediate no, to protect the existing taxi industry. Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp didn't bother asking. They simply built the Uber app and turned it on. Established regulations were often written for the industries of the past. For a disruptor, seeking approval within those old frameworks frequently results in a stalemate, making rapid action the only viable path to market entry. This rule-breaking logic also applies to how these companies build their actual teams. They aggressively reject subjective, intuition-based management. The standard corporate annual review is driven by human emotion. Managers rely on fading memories and personal biases, which creates the very blind spots that slow down a scaling operation. The alternative is stripping out the human bias and replacing it with objective, software-driven task tracking. This chart illustrates how Domebox manages personnel. It maps task completion times against a baseline schedule, updating a real-time delegation score. The software then deducts points for reworks or errors, categorizing performance into a hard bracket, like Category A. When objective data anchors the review process, the team can bypass much of the subjective friction that slows down traditional management. By combining an external strategy that skips the gatekeepers with an internal culture governed by objective data, you create a frictionless enterprise. The barrier keeping companies from scaling rapidly is rarely a lack of money or talent. It is often an adherence to a set of theoretical rules built for a slower era. To move fast, identify a painful problem, build an objective system to solve it, and break the rules standing in your way. Permission is a myth. The only metric that matters is the result.